Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 4 of the Glow Up Journey. Tonight, we'll be exploring the theme Rediscovering Joy and Optimism. How to rekindle positive emotions after going through difficult experiences. Life is full of challenges, I believe, and it's not always easy to stay positive when things get tough. But tonight, we are here to discuss how to find hope, joy, and optimism even in the darkest moment. I'm Francis Devignoro, or Francis, you can call me that, your moderator for this live session. Joining me on this insightful journey are two exceptional panelists. She and he would be Rozana Yunos and Faizal Yusuf, both bringing incredible wisdom and experience to the table. And I'm very sure their insights will resonate deeply with you. So sit back, relax, grab your coffee or tea or whatever you want to, and let's dive into this meaningful conversation about rediscovery, resilience, and growth. So first of all, we will going to introduce to you both wonderful panelists. I believe let us all introduce first about Rozana. Okay, so Rozana, she is actually a professional adult, currently working in Brunei as a corporate services leader. And I did ask her about something interesting about her life, So one of the interesting facts about her life is that she used to live a life as a diplomat back in Singapore, and it actually was around 5 years during childhood. So that is one wonderful fact that we have known about her. And to not only that, I will also share to you about Faizal. Faizal is an IT consultant in Singapore. And really fun fact about him is that he is a devoted dad of 2 cats. All right. So to start off tonight's session, I will be asking them some questions. Nothing very heavy and all, but it's a story about themselves. So I'm gonna ask, perhaps we will start with Rozana. I believe Rozana is there. So I have a question for you, Rozana. Have you ever experienced going through a difficult and challenging life experience? And if you do not mind to share about your story, as well as what have you learned from them? And since tonight we are going to talk about optimism and resilience, how do you go through all those experiences, those difficult and challenging experiences? So now, Rozana,
Hi,
the mic is yours. Hi, Rozana.
Thanks for having me tonight as one of the speakers. So I've actually encountered a lot of difficult and challenging life experiences, probably more later in life than I was in my younger age. There probably was other times, but since in the recent times, some more prominent experiences have occurred. So I just wanted to share a time when my father was extremely ill. So what happened is that my father actually is a very independent man. He was a civil servant and he served as an ambassador to Singapore, Vietnam, and Thailand. He also was an avid traveler. He enjoyed food a lot, and a lot of his favorite foods he introduced to us. He was also a photographer, and he was a great father as well as husband who fulfilled all his responsibilities to his family. I couldn't be more grateful to have such a dad, honestly speaking. But it all changed one day. And there were already signs, but his condition got worse. And what happened was that we found out he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Now, a lot of people don't know what Parkinson's disease is. It's actually a neurodegenerative disorder or a disease which affects your brain. So it's the part of the brain that controls your nervous system to do with movement. And it can only get worse, and it can only get worse over time. So what does that mean for people who don't know what is the effect of Parkinson's? So with Parkinson's, you can lose the ability to walk, you can lose the ability to talk, You can lose the ability to eat. You have involuntary shaking or tremors of the body. You cannot control it at all. You have slow movement. You have stiff and inflexible muscles. And so all these things, you have balance problems. So all these things can actually lead to falls, and it can also lead to dementia because your brain is deteriorating and shrinking in size, and other problems. My father also experienced depression, even though he wasn't able to speak about it. I do believe some anxiety and worry. And he had problems sleeping because at night he could not sleep, but he slept during the daytime, and memory problems. So it was really difficult to see my father's condition deteriorate in a period of, I would say, I think it was 3 years, from a man who was very healthy, able to drive a car, travel on his own, go shopping and buy things for the house, to suddenly someone who's bound to his bed and who had to be taken care of. And we had to find a caregiver for him to be able to care for his needs because he wasn't able to do some of the basic things that we all take for granted. And it was difficult to see him deteriorate in the physical sense. And I remember closer to the end before he passed away, he wasn't able to eat. He had lost a lot of weight. Solid foods were out of the question. We had to feed him liquids through a spoon, and you're talking about a teaspoon, because he also, in some sense, lost his ability to swallow. So instead of the food going down your throat to where your stomach is, it goes down to his lungs. And he developed pneumonia because of that. And that was the reason why he also landed in hospital. And I think was one of the cause of his death at that point. He couldn't talk anymore towards the end, and I could only see him smile. And he tried to express himself through muted sounds as well as through some signaling. At the same time, I was pregnant with my second child, and going through pregnancy, it was difficult because of the hormonal changes in the body. While pregnancy is a joyful thing, expecting a second child, it was also difficult because of the situation that we're going through at home. And it was also compounded with what was happening at work. I was very stressed. And I remember one of those times where I was attending my maternity appointments, and my boss kept texting and texting and texting me, demanding for an answer. And at that point, I couldn't help but break down. And honestly speaking, there were many moments that I broke down during the 3 years that my father was unwell. So I think what's important to highlight is that you have to recognize, first and foremost, you have feelings. And you must be able to acknowledge your feelings. You have to recognize that this is something that you're going through, and that there is a way to overcome it. You cannot ignore that the feelings are there. It's like people say to me, stay strong, you can do it. Definitely I can stay strong and do it. But the thing is that I'm going through feelings. I need to process my feelings. You have to be able to recognize and label it and say, I feel sad. You can't say I'm sad, I feel sad, because it's a feeling. I feel sad. Apart from feeling sad, I also felt very alone. I felt really alone because I was living with my parents, and I made a commitment to live with my parents, and I said that I would take care of them, being the youngest child. So with that commitment, I felt a lot of responsibility for my parents. And seeing how my father's condition was day to day, I would report to my siblings in a sibling group. But I still felt very, very alone, because I felt that I was the only one that had to shadow or shoulder everything that was going on at home. And that really was heavy for me. And I think at the end of the day, what I really learned from it is, apart from recognizing your feelings, acknowledging it, and processing it, is also that you shouldn't be afraid to reach out for help. And this came, it wasn't like a realization that said, I need to ask for help, because I felt I was everything on everything was on my shoulders. It was more of my family members reminding me, do you need help? What can we help you with? And also, it was really nice that they recognize the work that I was putting into. They say, we think you're doing a really good job, but how much more help can we give you? What help do you need? And I really appreciated that reminder from my family. And I think that helped me really get through that difficult situation, is the support and the reminder to never forget to ask for help. I hope I didn't make you sad, Francis.
No, no, no. You don't make me sad, but I do resonate how you feel as well. And I understand it's not that easy to actually share this emotional story of yours. It's a very emotional story, and I do acknowledge it. And I understand it's a very tough journey. But I am here. We are all here for you. Thank you very much, Rozana, for for that story. All right. So next up, we're going to invite Faizal to come up here as well to share his story about how he goes through any challenging as well as difficult experiences in his life, and perhaps would be able to share as well his thoughts and opinions on how to get through it all. Faisal.
Thank you, Francis. Can I check that my audio is clear?
Yes, yes, you are.
Thank you, Francis.
Audio is
Okay.
perfect.
Okay, great. So my story is that I was 17 in junior college in Singapore. So as in Singapore, junior college is the most intense period of your schooling time, where you spend 2 years preparing for your A levels. Basically, a day in a junior college is from school starts at 7:30 and ends at 4:30 p.m. every day, Monday to Friday. But despite this very punishing schedule, I was a very active person. I like sports, so I wanted this, having this glory, achieving this glory in sports. So I joined the Dragon Boat team in junior college, which was the toughest co-curricular activity in the college. So Dragon Boat is the sport whereby people, there are 20 men or ladies in a boat, and they just pedal as fast as they can to reach the finishing line. So the race will be like maybe 300 meters long. It lasts for about 10 minutes. So it's a very intense activity, requires a lot of training, a lot of physical fitness. And I enjoyed it. So during my first year, I trained very hard. I spent a lot of time outside of school. So when school ends at 4:30, I would go for my training and then only arrive at home at 8, 9 p.m. But all that effort actually paid off. So within a few months of my first year, I was actually selected to become the captain of the Dragon Boat team. So I was leading a team of 20 of my fellow teammates. And with the election as a captain of the team, it also came with additional responsibilities. So in addition to training, you also have to manage the team, organize the trainings, lead. And as the weeks passed, my team did well. I worked very hard. Yeah, we won several dragon boating competitions, races. So I was very happy I achieved that glory. But towards the end of the year, at the end of the junior college year, there's actually a final year exams which will allow you to get promoted to depend, which will allow you to it will allow you whether you're allowed to promote to the second year or not. So I've already been committing so much to sports, to dragon boating, to trainings. I actually forgot that I neglected my studies. So when the time came after the exam, I thought, okay, yeah, this is just an exam. I'll just take the exam, and the bombshell arrived. So when I got my results, I actually failed the first year exams, and it was absolutely devastating. If you fail a junior college exam for the first year, it will you will not be allowed to be promoted to the second year. So what happens is that you will have to actually be retained. That means you will actually join the previous year's batch. You will join the new batch, and then join those who are younger than you. And so that happened to me, and I actually felt very lost, very down, even humiliated, or even because in my class, there was nobody who failed the examinations. And even in my team, nobody actually failed the examination. So I was the only one. And I didn't know what to do. So my parents were expected very, very angry, and they said that why do you spend so much time doing sports? It caused you to fail your examinations. Now you will not get promoted to the second year, and you will not go to university, and all this and that. You've just let us down. So I was completely disappointed. But my teammates were supportive. My teacher said that there's no one has actually failed examination before, so you are the first. And at that time, I felt that okay, I just want to quit the team and focus on my studies. So it was a difficult period for me. My teacher actually said that no captain has actually quit the team before, and if you actually do that, you will be the first, and that will be something which is it will go down in history as something that has never been done before. So I just reflected deeply on that, and I felt that I could either quit and focus on my studies, but that will actually let a lot of people down, because I know there's a whole team who depends on me. Or I could actually keep on going, find a solution, and just get through this. So after having a long period of consideration and reflection, I went up to my team and said, okay, I am not going to quit. I'm going to continue. Yes, you are aware that I have failed my first year examination. So if I would actually not be able to be promoted to the second year, so I will not follow you to the second year, and I will stay with the juniors. But I will not quit the team. So I decided to take action. And the first thing I do was actually to write a letter to the principal to appeal to stay on, to appeal to allow to be promoted. And I expressed my reason, saying that I would, if I were to be promoted to the second year, I would commit fully to my studies. I would not neglect my studies as I did before in the first year. But at the same time, I would also continue to work hard for the dragon boating team and to fulfill my duties and responsibilities as a leader. So I was fortunate that the principal gave me a second chance, but before that, I had to take, of course, another provisional exam to ensure that I could actually go on to the second year. So fortunately, I managed to pass that exam, and I was promoted to the second year, but just by a very, very small margin. So my team did very well during my second year. We managed to win the school championships for dragon boating, and I managed to get through my A levels also as a bonus. Didn't do too well for the A levels, but it was something that when I looking back to the previous experience to what happened, what it took to get there, I felt that it was actually an experience that actually toughened me up. So times are hard. We know we go through a lot of difficult moments many times in our lives, but the thing is that if things are hard, just keep going. I like to think of a story whereby this story called 3 feet from gold. So I think maybe some of us have heard of it, whereby someone was actually digging for gold and digging and digging and digging day after day, but not finding the gold. And the person that just decided, okay, I'll give up and quit. And the next time someone came and start digging and realized that the gold's actually just 3 feet from where the first person stopped digging. So if you are going through hard times, remember that your goal is just near. It's just 3 feet away. So just keep on going. Back to you, Francis.
Thank you so much, Faizal. I really love your spirit, because from what you are mentioning just now, you really don't let a failure to drag you down. Rather than letting it drag you down, you instead challenge it more and more. And I love that, actually. And I noticed a particular point from both of you, Rozana and Faizal, about your conversation, about your story. And I believe one point that I actually can see would be the support system. All right, so I have a question. Perhaps we can start with Rozana first. I have a question. So, how important are support system when navigating your own particular experience, perhaps a support system by your loved ones?
Mhm. I would say having a support system is absolutely important. Sometimes we're so close to the problem, we really cannot see through the difficulty that we have. And that what it takes is that people with a third party perspective that could actually put things into perspective and say that it's actually not as bad as you think and that there is a way out of it. So what I like the most about my support system is that they know when to go hard and they know when to be soft and gentle. But in particular, challenging and it depends also like how close you are to your support system. So if I've had very, very close friends and I've had situations at work whereby I'm really challenged at work and I would moan and groan about it. And I would sometimes get direct responses. Hey, don't complain. I wasn't complaining, but it sounded like I was complaining. But then the more gentle friend would say, did you reflect on what had happened at work? Do you think there's other ways of actually looking around the problem that you have? Did you consider X, Y, Z, A, B, C? And these are really, really important. And what we have to remember is that our support system can be anyone who we trust and who we find value, who will be able to give value to us in order for us to navigate through the difficult situation. So sometimes it can be family and sometimes it can be friends, but choose your support system wisely because at the end of the day, they're going to be able to, you have to be able to discern who is going to add the most value to able to get you through that difficult situation.
Awesome, Rozana. Thank you very much. I love that, especially on choosing your own support system, no matter who they are, whether your friends, your families as well. And let's ask Faizal right now. Faizal, how about you?
Yes, thank you, Francis. So I agree, Rozana, that support system must offer value to you. But a support system can be, someone or a group of people can support you in a comforting way, or they can support you in a tough way. So you can think of someone who supports you in a tough way, like that very fierce coach who he scolds you, say keep going. No, I know you're tired. I don't care you're tired, but you must keep going because you have to finish the race, or you have to finish the training. Or you can have someone who is very comforting. And I feel it's good to have a mixture of both. So someone who can push you, who knows you are capable of going further. At the same time, it's also good to have someone who is able to give you that kind of comforting support. So yes, a support system is definitely very, very important. But at the same time, we must know that the support system must be able to stretch you, to be able to make you realize your potential. And yeah, that's my take on that. Back to you, Francis.
Thank you so much, Faizal. All right. So I've heard from both of you, Faizal especially, on regards of how our support system really needs to work in. Okay, so since I've heard from the two of you, and I believe this podcast session of ours is a bit different compared to other podcast sessions, where right now we are also going to ask questions to our fellow guests that arrive and listen to us. All right, so I do have a few guests that I would like to ask. I believe we can start to ask Mr. Saiho Chin. All right, so I do have a question to the guests out there. Perhaps if you have any, perhaps the question would be, do you have any experience that you have grown from? Or maybe any difficult period of time that you went through, and how did you get through that time? Is Mr. Saihochin there?
He's there, but I think he's having difficulty unmute.
No worries. Okay, so it's okay. If he's not able to answer, perhaps I would actually ask Mr. Philip Kip. All right, so I have a question. Have you ever gone through any difficult times in your life, All right, be it any difficult situation that you have been, and how did you get through it?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure thing, sure thing. So, the question would be, have you ever gone through a difficult point in your life, and how did you get through it? Perhaps something that you can teach, and allow us to listen to your story as well on it.
Okay, let me share the most recent difficult situation that I have gone through, which is when, let me think of something, the situation. Okay, it's about independence. When I ask, okay, it's about independence. I recently has a, I would say, a big argument with one of my colleagues due to some work stuff, and because we have some conflicts, and I tried to, because we both have our different points of view, different opinions in certain things at works, and we shouted at each other. Okay, and but at the end of the day, we managed to find a solution to the problems that we face, and our boss came to the meeting room and he helped us to solve the problems. And what I learned from this experience is that I have to learn to control my emotions and to not let my anger or emotion to take control of my actions. And it's also helped me to be independent. What I mean by this is that I have to look for the solution first before I just throw out any bad things or any bad assumptions toward others. This is the difficult lessons that I have gone through, and I will try to improve from there. Thank you, Francis. Back to you.
Thank you, Philip. All right, so he has a really, really good story to share, and I hope all of you have heard about him. So now let us also invite another another guest to perhaps share his story as well. Perhaps we can invite Mr. Not Mr. Miss Camelia.
Hello.
Yes, hello, Camelia. So I do have a question for you. So my question would be, have you gone through a difficult point in your life, and how did you go through it?
Yes. My story, my difficult moment is similar to Sir Faizal, which is about my academic. It was during our O level, specifically on one of the subject, which is on additional maths. For my academic background, I used to perform very well for my exams, but it changed during my additional maths. My first year of during year 9. So during year 9, additional maths was my option subject. And it was very different from Maths D. Firstly, I thought additional maths was just Maths D, but with more questions. But it was not. It was so different. And I remember our first exam, I performed badly. I think I got 10%, and that was my first fail for my maths. And during my 3 years of doing my O level, 2 years straight, I failed. I never passed. And it really demotivated me to study additional maths. And I feel like I was a disappointment to my tutor and also my family because everyone had a very high expectation for me. But before the start of my final year, it was like during December, cuti, the school holiday, something changed. Something like motivated me to study, specifically this subject, the subject that I always fail. And I remember during this 31 days, every morning I would wake up very early and start studying from the beginning, from the first chapter. And I didn't stop revising, relearning the whole topics until my October O level. And Alhamdulillah, I was able to perform well. From 10% during my first exam, I was able to get an A. So how I overcome is I didn't give up. Even though I started like last minute, but I never gave up on revising. Okay, yeah, that's it.
Awesome, Camelia. I love your story. I do resonate very, very closely to it because I was also a student that have it's not really a particularly bad experience with admets, but you get the gist. I do fail in admets too. Don't worry. All right, so let us now get back to our two speakers, Rozana and Faizal. Okay, so I do have another question for the both of you here. And I believe we already heard about the hardship, the challenges that you both have just faced. So my question would be, could hardship be a catalyst for us to find a deeper sense of joy in life? Right? So can hardship be a catalyst for us to find a deeper sense of joy in life? So perhaps we can start off with Faizal to share on his view on it.
Yes, definitely hardship can be a very strong catalyst to find joy, to find optimism in life, to even find meaning and purpose. Because it is only through hardship that we grow. You know, it's like the saying that life is not about the destination, but it's about the journey. And the more hardships and I believe that the more hardships that we go through, the sweeter it is at the destination. So what I would say is that do not shy away from challenges, do not shy away from hardship, because hardship and challenges, they only last for a while, they're just temporary. If it's something is too difficult for you, just go through it, you know that it will come to an end, and you'll just look back at it and say that, oh, okay, this is past, and I know I'm now in a better and a stronger position because of what I went through. So definitely going through difficult times, going through hardships, it is something that will be good for you, will be good for us, will be good for will bring a lot of optimism, will bring a lot of meaning and purpose to our lives. Back to you, Francis.
Thank you, Faizal. Oh, I really do love about your point. Hardship, challenges give us a way to view life in a different way, give us more purpose, more meaningful situation for our life. So, how about you, Rozana? Would you like to share about your view on it?
I think for hardship, it actually brings about a deeper sense of gratitude and being grateful for the little things that you would have picked out. Because there is a silver lining in everything. You might not see it at that point in time, and it will come to you eventually. I always say it's the benefit of hindsight, and that you're meant to go through a tough situation for a reason. whether it's to test you, whether it's to see whether you're really good at something because you said you're really good at something, and so on. So ultimately, right, hardship to me is all about being grateful for the situation that you went through and being grateful for whoever it is around you and what you can see positively out of it. So I remember at work, it's been really challenging at work. Honestly speaking, for the past 16 years I've been working in this particular company, I don't think I've had technically an easy day in my life. It's always been so challenging. But what I like about the challenge is that it really made me grow as a person. It really made me grow as in terms of my skills, my management skills, my people skills. It made me grow in terms of how I communicate with others. It made me grow on how I prioritize work and time management. It made me grow in even how I see myself. So I really think that I'm grateful for all that hardship. It's not pleasant, by the way, to go through it, but there was a reason. And I believe the reason is just to make me an even better person than I was before. That I remember borrowing the quote from Sunny, where she said yesterday is that even diamonds, while they are produced under pressure, they continue needing to be polished. And so we're all diamonds. We've all been under pressure, but we all have to go through all this hardship to continue to be polished and to become even greater people.
Oh, I like that. Polish into a diamond. All right. So I do love what you have just shared just now, Rozana. All right. So I do have another question for both of you as well. From what I've heard, you also shared something about optimism. All right. And even in the chat just now, someone said to reframe it as a way, as challenge, to reframe it as a way for us to grow ourselves. So my question goes, how do you balance genuine optimism without falling into the trap of toxic positivity? Because I believe nowadays we do tend to actually hunt for those positivity rather than actually just going through challenges as how it is to grow ourselves. So perhaps we can listen from Rozana first.
I would have to be honest with everyone is that I'm not I am perceived to be positive, but that's external. Internally, I'm not very positive to myself. And that's a process that I've been trying to improve over the lifetime as I've been growing up, to be more positive internally, to speak more positive internally, but somehow externally it is shown otherwise. And toxic positivity is something that I've only learned recently. And I never thought that being overly positive to be able to I never thought that being overly positive could be toxic to someone. But I think ultimately you need to think about what is the context or the situation that you're in at that point in time. First and foremost, it's about recognizing realistically that there is a challenge that you're going through, firstly. And secondly, yes, you will get through it. Thirdly, you don't know how long you're going to get through it, so you just have to get through it. And I don't know how to be anything more than just getting through it, honestly speaking. Like recently through work and everything, it's been so overwhelming. And then on top of that, there's also the Toastmasters meetings and the Toastmasters responsibility. And then there's home responsibility and everything else. And I just have to say myself, just take it one day at a time. There's nothing else more that I can do. And just be prepared to let go of certain things, of not doing things perfectly, and just do other things to the best of my ability. So this idea of toxic positivity, I don't think that I'm able to really speak about it at this point in time, because as it is, I'm just trying to survive. And I think that's as optimistic as I can get at this point in time about my life. So for everyone, is just recognize that you're going through a challenging situation. It's there for a reason. Go through it. You'll come out of it at some point. you wish immediately, but unfortunately it's not the case.
Wow, Rozana, I actually love that because I love how genuine you are, sharing about how you just go through it. Because that is how human we are. Sometimes we do not know how do we go through life as it is. And from what you are just saying, your odd advice to all of us is very, very genuine. I really love it. We are just here being human, challenging life as it is. And how about you, Faizal? What is your take on balancing genuine optimism and toxic positivity?
Well, Francis, to be honest, just like Rozana, the concept of toxic positivity is new to me. So I didn't know there's such a thing as, being overly positive. But when I come to think of it again, maybe there is that chance that, some people, in certain situations, we become too positive, too optimistic, you don't know when to stop. Like, one example I can think of is, if you have a business and first time business owners, when you start a business, you're very optimistic, very positive, you have a lot of dreams, you want to achieve this and achieve that. But as time goes by, you run the business and you find that you are not, say, earning as much as you want to, you have not achieved as much as you expect to, and in fact that all the signs, the numbers say that the business is not doing well. Then there must come a time whereby you have to say, this is the point where you have to stop. It is not worth going on further. It is not worth keep on trying to put in money or trying to take loans to support the business when you know it's a failing prospect. Because at the end of the day, ultimately, we are all humans. We have our limits, and sometimes it is best to know when are our limits, and we have to respect that. Otherwise, it could lead to a very it could spiral down very, very quickly. So I would say toxic positivity is knowing when to stop, recognizing your limits as a human being, and then respecting them. And who knows, because of that, you turn out better than what you expect to. That's my take on it. Back to you, Francis.
Thank you, Faizal. Your reply is very, very awesome as well. Very interesting and very interesting as well. Okay, so I actually would like to ask one more question to the guest that is here live with us. So I do have a question on failure. All right, so perhaps you can ask someone among the guests here. So I have a question, and it goes like this: what common misconception about failures that people should know? All right, so what common misconception about failures that people should know? So this is a question I would like to ask the guest that is attending here tonight. Perhaps you can try to ask Stefano. Would you have any? Hi, Stefano.
Hello, it's a very difficult question.
You want me to repeat the question, is it?
Yes, what misconception about failure we want people to know?
Yes. So that's the question. Do you have any, or have you heard about any common misconception about failures that people should know?
I don't know. I think if you look at motivational speakers, they will tell you that failure is just a feedback. It's not the full stop in a sentence. So you basically fail, but you're supposed to learn from your mistake. And so you don't start from zero, but they say you start from experience if you're going to restart. And this probably is correct. It all depends also on your level of commitment and what has caused you to fail. But I guess from any failure, there is always a lesson to be learned. So yes, true. We always have to see the bright side, and the glass is always half full and not half empty. And I think failure is inevitable, especially when you grow. You need to exit from your comfort zone, and exiting from the comfort zone inevitably is difficult, and you cannot master what is coming out of the comfort zone straight out of the box, because it's out of your comfort zone. So you're uncomfortable and you struggle and you fail, but that's how you grow. You make a mistake, you learn. And actually, I have to say, failing is probably the fastest way of learning. Because if you read things on the book, maybe Kirsty can witness this with her laboratory experience. If you read things on the book, they all make sense, but it's just a list of things. When you actually go hands-on on the lab, and assuming you make a mistake and you see sparks coming, well, then you remember how to do things properly. So yes, maybe it's a good memory aid sometimes to fail, because then you know how things must not be done and how things must be done. You just take it with a positive spirit, and hopefully it's not a dramatic failure, it's just a small one that, you know, helps. It is something that you can talk about in a few years. It's not something that destroys your life forever.
Awesome. Thank you, Stefano. I really like the quote that you just mentioned. The glass is not half empty, but it's also half full. Yeah, it gives me like a very different view of life now. All right, so thank you very much, Stefano, on your feedback on this common misconception. Okay, perhaps we can also ask one more last guess for tonight. Perhaps we can ask Patrick Richard.
Hi, yeah. All right.
Hi, Patrick. Yes.
Okay. Can you repeat the question again? Sorry.
Oh, no worries. No worries. So my question would be, what common misconceptions about failures that people should know?
All right. Okay. So misconception about failure. One thing about failure is that it is not the end of the world. It's not the end of everything. Every failure, no matter how big or small that you are facing right now, there's always a silver lining. No matter how small the percentage, yes, there is a way that you can recover. There is a way that you can work into it. This misconception that people are thinking of, the fact that everything will end, is causing everyone to hide away from the failures. This is one thing that I found out from the workforce, from the outside. You talking to people, they will hide away from failures. They will think that, oh, I fell. This will be the end of me. I will not be doing things in this way. I'm not be doing things the right way. I am forever wrong. No, that is not the correct way to think about it. You have to work into it, understand why you fell, you recover, then you learn. It is one of the best methods for you to understand and for you to know where you did wrong. Knowing the fact that failure, you have it's sort of like the misconception comes when you were young, when you were taught that your parents saying that, hey, no, you should not do this, no, you destroy this thing, no. It's actually the best way for you to alter. You want to tune the mind of people to have a really good mindset on failure, is to start them young. You do not teach them to be very to think that fail is a really destructive thing. So this is one that I can think of regarding the failure that is the most critical thing that people are thinking of it as the society of it as of now. So back to you, Francis.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Yes, I do love it. Start them young. And it's not the end of the world, especially towards failure. All right, so now I'm going to ask one last question to our speakers here. All right, so I have a question. What advice, since we're going to wrap it up now, what advice would you give to someone who feels stuck in the aftermath of a failure and doesn't know how to move forward? So perhaps we can ask Faizal first on this question.
Thank you, Francis. So this is something I personally experienced, as I mentioned in my first speech. So I failed my first year examinations while it was in junior college. So that was very, very devastating moment. Very humiliating moments, but that was so long ago. So the thing is that when you look back now, that time was actually 20 years ago. So it actually seems very trivial from when you see that what something that happened so long ago. At that point of time, it was like everything in the world. I felt my world has collapsed. So the thing is that you must understand that failure is just temporary, and you know that if as time passes, time will heal all the wounds. You'll get through this. So it is just something to say that you just have to keep going, because you will look back at this moment again and say that, oh, okay, this has passed and I actually got through this. So the advice I would like to give is that just persevere, carry on, get on your support groups to come. You have them, but just have the realization that this is something that it will eventually pass, and you'll look back and you'll realize that you become a stronger person because of what you've went through. Back to you, Francis.
Thank you, Faizal. Persevere, carry on. That's his message to all of us here. As well as keep going forward, no matter how challenging it is. Thank you, Faizal, for that insight. Now, let me ask Rozana on her point of view.
I also experienced feeling stuck after an aftermath of failure, and I kind of eat me up for many, many years, up to a point where you get so sucked into this failure that it shows up on your body in different forms. For me, I developed a major rash behind my neck because I couldn't stop scratching from the anxiety of having failed. So how did I overcome it? Well, first and foremost is to really open up to someone and say what had happened, and have a really honest conversation with them with what happened, why it happened, and just kind of go into an analysis if you are that kind of person. And then the second thing that I did is that, okay, I failed at something. It was really major in my life, but my life goes on. So what if I try to do something that could reinforce the fact that I could actually succeed at something, be it something big or something small? So the more multiple successes that I have, and eventually leading to a major success, is to eventually mute out the feeling of failure. So in other words, is that if you don't keep going and if you don't recognize that life goes on, you'll be forever stuck where you are at that point in time. What will you miss along the way? Will you miss the great conversations that you could have with people? Would you miss meeting even the president of whichever country? Would you miss meeting the love of your life? And so on and so forth. So just remember that failure is not final unless you make it so.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. If I may add, I'm Richard here.
Hi, Richard. Yes.
Hi, how are you? So, I mean, it's just funny that, everyone talks about failure. First, we have to define failure. What is failure? Failure is the opposite of success, right? So just imagine there's a rule here, a meter rule here, then we put a point here, we move the scale, let's say 50%, yeah? So this side is fail and that side is success, right? So we have to think like, we make it sound like failure is a bad thing, but we have to define everyone's failure point is different. So for example, if I go through, we talk about academic, okay, SPM, I score, let's say 33% in additional maths, yeah? That is a fail in everyone's market rate, But I can, guess what? If I want to, I can turn that into a success. I can even write a book and publish it in an e-news, an e-book to say how to score 33% in SPM and make money out of it. You see? So at the end of the day, it's just how we embrace life and we welcome these failures. Since you want to use the word failure, I embrace and welcome all this as called an experience. I wouldn't call it a bad experience. It's just an experience. I wouldn't call it a bad chapter. It's just a bad chapter. It's just a chapter in life, okay? And that one will build upon like a foundation to. Again, I wouldn't want to use the success since I refuse to use the word failure. I also do not want to use, to be fair, do not want to use the word success, because if I use the success, then I have to acknowledge the word failure. It's just a chapter. It's just we have to acknowledge and accept. It's just part and parcel of life. So having said that, how I want to be this, I'll give you another example. As a businessman myself, let's say I have a target to make my first million, okay? So as just now someone was saying, success is a journey, it's not a destination. I truly agree with that. So when we stick onto in my case, I give you an example of I want a target. I want to make my first million. The very minute I make my first million as human being, as a Chinese on top of that, right? I want my second million, right? Okay. So does that mean that in that instantaneously, I became a half failure? Because my new target is 2 million. I'm only 50%, right? So we cannot say failure or success. It's just a chapter in life. It's a chapter in your life, build upon it, and don't say that it's a failure. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, don't categorize, don't make it like a zero-sum game. Yeah, that was what I'm trying to say, zero-sum game, it's like you're a failure, as I was saying, I can get 33% for SPM, I can still write a book about it, and if I may say, Francis is a new friend of mine. Francis Devin, met him a couple of days ago. He invited me. Thank you very much. And he knows me.
Yes, thank you, Richard.
Yeah, he knows me that I was trained as an electrical engineer. Then I further on to read law with University of London, and now I'm doing MBBS medical studies. You see, so at the ripe age of 47. So it's like, every Indian's parents' dream, engineer, lawyer, doctor. So jokes aside, it's just a matter of how do I forever want. Does that make me, I'm talking not in terms of monetary, like just now I quoted the first million and second million. So does that make me a failure, forever failure? If I'm going to embrace the word failure as literally as what you're saying, I will be doomed. My mental will be doomed, but I'm forever saying that I'm not enough. I want more. Because my grandmother said once, my late grandmother spoke in Hokkien. I loosely translated, if your going seems easy, you're going downhill. Whether you're driving a car, just as an analogy, you're driving a car or riding a bicycle, when your going seems easy, you're going downhill. You must always forever look for some hardship, little bit by little bit, and climb and climb and climb. And you may think that this hard life, this is so hard. No, you're actually growing. You are growing. And last but not least, as a closing statement, do not have any expectation in life, whether it's in relationship, career, studies, medical, anything. Do not have expectation. I have a fantastic relationship with my wife, happily married with 4 kids. Yeah, it's because I do not have any expectation. It's just a separate issue altogether. If you have to take anything away, just be this. Not only I have it at ground zero, I start digging a trench on the ground so that I can put my expectation bar below ground zero. So the minute I wake up every morning, I wiggle my toe that I'm still alive, it's already a bonus. It's already a bonus. So just be happy. Just that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. All right, that's a good way to summarize everything. All right, so thank you everyone for listening. So to wrap it up for tonight, we have listened and explored some powerful ideas, some powerful insights from all of you here, speakers and guests alike. All right. So a big thank you to our speaker, Rozana, as well as Faizal. And I hope that all of you really love our session for tonight. So whatever you have taken back for tonight, you can just journal it down and perhaps practice it as well. Okay. So to share with everyone, please do follow our YouTube channel, Vivid Voices Podcast. All right, is it Vivid Voices Podcast or Vivid Voices Toastmasters Podcast? All right, and also on our Instagram page as well. And then don't forget to join our next episode, which will be held in 2 weeks' time on a Wednesday as well. So please do check it up on our IG on the news. Okay, so thank you for everyone for tuning in to Glow Up Journey. Until next time, keep glowing and growing. Take care.